How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. Today, I want to talk to you about the Coinbase IPO. Now, this is going to be a massive IPO. A lot of people have been talking about the valuation, whether it's going to be 80 billion, 100 billion, and we got some news on it today. So, there's a market for their IPO shares right now, or their pre-IPO shares, and it's setting the stage to be one of the largest IPOs of all time. This would be one of the largest 100 companies in the world based on market cap. It would be above companies like Caterpillar, like Sony, like Square, like Starbucks. This would put them as one of the largest companies in the world. And it's a company that we really have to talk about today because, again, their IPO is coming tomorrow. I want to give you my strategy because I think I have a good strategy put in place right here. And there's another company I want to compare it to, tell you about what it's looking like in terms of valuation comparatively and how to play it. Before we get into it, if you guys don't mind hitting the like button, I really appreciate that. Also, subscribe if you want to hit subscribe. That helps out the channel a lot. And we are making daily videos on everything in the stock market. I will say, I've done a couple swing trading videos about a stock, and not too many people have watched it, but we bought this thing around $11. Really a nice 23% gain in a few days. The ticker symbol is MUDS. Definitely one that you want to check out. I'll put up my video on them from yesterday, but a nice 7% move today. And there is a link down there to Patreon in case you want to check that out. You can see exactly when I buy and sell stocks just like this. The price for Bitcoin is skyrocketing right now. I'm just logging into my BlockFi account. It's around $63.4 thousand per Bitcoin. Ethereum's up a lot too, up to almost 2,300. They're up 5 and 7% on the day. If you guys want an interest rate on your cryptocurrency too, there is a link down below to BlockFi. They're giving out a bonus too. But this is, I think, due to two things. First of all, CPI data came out today. A lot of people worried about inflation. The other thing that I think people are doing is buying this before the Coinbase IPO. So Coinbase is going to have a massive IPO. For reference, Airbnb was a huge IPO from last year. It's being valued around $105 billion now. It came out $68 per share and a valuation right around $40 billion. Now, we have heard anything from $100 billion to $80 billion on this Coinbase IPO. However, on Benzinga, this just came out. Our pre-IPO Coinbase market is currently implying a $140 billion valuation. Now, this is frothy. This would make them one of the largest companies in the world at $140 billion valuation. I am very cautious about this because oftentimes when we see these high valuations, they seem to jump up on IPO day. So it might open at $140 billion valuation and go up to $200 billion pretty quickly. I'm cautious about this because it is trading so high. Now, one comparable that I like to use, which this company is a lot smaller, it's maybe about 50 times smaller, is Voyager Digital. So this is a company I bought around $18, around $20, around $22. And they do something very similar to what Coinbase does. So I like to compare them a little bit. Now, of course, there's going to be differences between them, but let's take a look at their numbers. So Coinbase has a value around $140 billion, let's say. Their Q1 revenues were quite impressive, and they came out with $1.8 billion worth of revenue. Now, these are in millions, so just to keep that into account. So if we multiply that out, their price to sales ratio would be right around 20. Now, their year-over-year growth was really impressive. They announced it recently. It went up about 9.5x, so about 844% year-over-year, quarter-over-quarter. Voyager Digital has a valuation much lower than Coinbase, obviously. They're around $3.3 billion. Their Q1 revenue, I predict, is going to be right around $60 million. So they have grown very quickly also from where they've been. They have a price to sales ratio right around 13.75, and their year over year growth is 21,000%. So a little bit over that actually, but they went from 282,000 up to about 60 million over the last year, and that's for Q1 revenue. Their share price has gone up by a significant amount too. If we go from last year on this time to now, it's up almost as much as their revenue growth. It's up 19,000%. But keep in mind, this went from a company that was bringing in 282,000 in a quarter, or about $1 million a year, to a company that will bring in about $240 million based on Q1 numbers. Something that I'm worried about is the fact that most of what they're making money on is the fees. So they have significant fees on their platforms. A lot of them will charge $5, $10, a quarter percent, or they have various reasons why you can or can't sell on their platforms. Not these necessarily by no Robinhood. I don't believe you can actually transfer out of Robinhood, but they make a lot of their money from fees. So there are a lot of hidden fees, and the fear that I have, which I haven't heard someone explain why it is this way, but the fear I have is so many of these other brokerage platforms like Fidelity, like M1 Finance, like Webull, they're free. Like, you don't have to pay to trade. Now, that's my fear kind of on this crypto market, is that they might make it free for trades, or some broker might do that to gain market share, which would make these much less profitable in the future. That is my greatest fear in investing in these. Now, what am I doing with these? Because obviously they're growing a lot. Both of them are growing a lot. Obviously, Voyager has grown more significantly because they've grown from a very small company to one that's earning a decent amount of revenue, honestly. So what am I going to do on the Coinbase IPO? Well, I plan on sitting and watching it a little bit. So if it comes down, I would consider adding some to my portfolio as a long-term hold. However, at this point, I think Voyager presents a better value for the growth. I realize that it's riskier and Coinbase is already profitable. It's going to have a lot of eyes on it. But I see Voyager growing 50% a month. And I think if they just do this even for a couple more months, this is a really good value when you look at Voyager comparatively if they grow 50% revenues for a couple more months. So I think this is where a lot of money will actually flow. Let's say that Coinbase goes up to $200 billion. Let's say it goes up like 50% from IPO day. Well, I think a lot of people will look for alternatives. And if we start running this with a $200 billion valuation, their price to sales is over double what Voyager is. And let's say Voyager comes out and says they have another good month. They increased revenues from 30 million this last month to 45 million. And then you look and you're like, oh, they're actually going to bring in, $600 million worth of revenue this year just at last month's clip. That is a much discounted rate compared to Coinbase. People might flock over to Voyager. I know that we've seen a couple red days here on Voyager. People that maybe they're going to move over to Coinbase IPO. Maybe they're just worried about the Coinbase IPO. But I think we're going to see some shift back into Voyager after Coinbase IPO if it goes up too much. And if Coinbase IPO goes down, Voyager will probably go down too, but both of them are going down at that point. So I'd rather take the company that's actually growing much quicker, and then I'll add more to it if it goes too low. I have a significant amount of money in crypto in general. A good portion of my portfolio, $32,000 worth, is in Bitcoin and Ethereum. Now, part of that is because I feel pretty bullish on them in general. I've been buying them since they were much lower than they are now. Part of it is also the interest rate. So if you guys want an interest rate on your crypto, they're paying 6% on Bitcoin and 5.25% on Ethereum. So definitely check this out if you're interested down below. Let me know your thoughts about the Coinbase IPO and whether you are buying it or whether you're sitting on the sidelines like I'm doing just to play it safe. I will see you guys in the next video. If you guys want to see my last video on tops and muds, that swing trade that I've been doing, you can see it here on the end screen. Thank you guys so much, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.